Hello and welcome to another video. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ani and today I'm doing a book haul. So this is my plan for July book haul, so I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. The first book I have here is, are you surprised? Fledgling by Octavia E. Butler. So this is on my July TBR and I am reading the borrowed copy from the library. It's a Kindle version, but I always enjoy a physical copy. So I decided to get the book, but look how gorgeous is this book. I absolutely love it. This is just so beautiful. I mean, if you are familiar with Octavia E. Butler's writing or books, you know the covers do not do justice. Let me just show you. Like, you already know that, you know, I love her books, I love her writing. Does this look appealing to you? Book I read, Sci-Fi. This was my first book by her and I absolutely love this book. No, it does not look like sci-fi or fantasy. Look at this one. This to me looks like a trashy romance novel, literally. Does it not? I would never pick these books up if I was just browsing at the store. Like, the only reason I knew about her because I've heard about her, so I wanted to read her books. That's the only reason I have this book, because I already had read this and this, and you know, because I loved it. So anyway, like I said, I wanted to get this book because it's just beautiful. For one, I'm loving the story because I'm already reading it. So if you didn't know already, this is about a 53-year-old genetically modified vampire who has an amnesia and have no memory of where she came from, what's her name, nothing. So she's actually trying to find that out. Like I said, this is a sci-fi and it's fantasy. So interesting. Like, you should definitely, you know, check it out. You know, you will hear me raving about this book for sure. The next book I have here is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is set in Barcelona, 1945. This is post-Spanish Civil War, and it's about a boy named Daniel. So Daniel lost his mother, and he's trying to find comfort in books because he happened to be a book dealer's son. He comes across this book called The Shadow of the Wind, written by Julian Carricks. He loved that book so much that he tries to find other books written by this author. However, he finds out that someone's been systematically destroying the author's book. So on his quest to find more about the author and his lost books, Daniel actually ends up finding out more about secrets of Barcelona, doomed love, murders, and madness. This is a historical mystery thriller, I believe. So I have heard good things about it, so I am looking forward to reading this book. The next book I have here is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I am very late to this, however, I've heard very good things about it. It's about a twin named Jude and Noah. They were very close, inseparable when they were little, but something happens and they stop talking to each other. And this follows, I believe half of the book, it follows Noah. It's his version of the story, and the other half is Jude and her version of the story. That's what I'm assuming. This book sounded really interesting. It sounded like a coming-of-age YA LGBTQIA book, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. Like I said, I'm late to the party, but I finally have the book. The next book I have here is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I've heard so many good things about this book and I'm like really excited to read this. So this follows two sisters. They are light-skinned black girls who runs away from home, I believe at age 16 or 17, and later in the years, one of them marries a black man and moves back to the South where they used to live and they ran away from, and has a daughter. But the other sister ends up marrying a white guy and tries to pass as a white woman. And the husband has like no idea about it. So this book is pretty much a family story of American history from 1950s to 1990. And yeah, I believe this is also a historical coming of age fiction. So like I said, I have read good things about this book, so I'm like really looking forward to reading this. The next book I have here is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I've heard so much about this book and it made people cry, and I told you that I don't cry when I read a book. Usually I've actually never experienced that. Movies do, but books don't. So I really wanted to see this and read this and see if this would touch me in that way where it would actually maybe form a tear. We will see. However, this is about 4 friends from college in Massachusetts. They moved to New York, and I believe that one of the friends, his name is Jude, something happens to him and it changes him as well as all the other friends. This book deals with trauma, pain, living with it daily. I've also actually heard people say that this is a modern day classic. So that piqued my interest even more. So I'm like really looking forward to reading this. I wonder if I can, you know, include it to my August TBR. We will see. The next book I have here is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I mentioned it in my mid-year book freak out that I've been wanting to read this book for a while now, and this is my goal for this year. So I finally got that book, and I've heard so much about this author and never picked up the Bone season. I don't know why. So I'm really hoping to like this book so that I can get, you know, her other books, especially the Bone season. But this book is about a kingdom that's divided and the queen has no heir. The unwed queen must conceive a daughter to protect her realm from destruction. This is an epic fantasy, and I believe there's mythology in it as well, which I absolutely love. And I'm assuming there's a dragon because I just cannot imagine a book not loving a book if there's a dragon in it. I know it sounds silly, but come on, think about it, right? So I'm really looking forward to reading this. I know this book is like really big. It's chunky. Let's see how many pages. Well, it says 804. So it's actually not that bad. I thought it was like, you know, well, I guess it is close to 1,000, but I thought it was worse than that. But anyway, yeah, so I'm like really looking forward to reading this one. I definitely want to get to this book this year. I really hope so because I've been wanting to read this since last year. So yeah, once again, late, but have the book now. The next book I have here is Flowers in the Attic and Petals on the Wind by V.C. Andrews. There's actually 2 books in here. My goal was to only buy Flowers in the Attic, but they didn't have it. This is how they did, so this is what I'm stuck with. Hence the reason it looks so chunky. So it is about a siblings. They're called the Dollinger siblings. Yeah, so something happens to their father and he dies tragically. So the mother asks them to go live in their rich grandparents' attic so she can inherit the grandparents' wealth. I know, right? It sounds so weird. This is a, per my research, YA Gothic fiction. So the reason I wanted to read this, I have read so many controversial reviews on this. Like some people absolutely loved it and some people were like, didn't, like they just hated it or they were like disturbed by it. I don't know, just something. I thought I want to check it out, what the fuss is about. Hence the reason for me to get the first book, but I ended up getting 2. So yeah, I am like really eager to read this one. Hopefully I can get to it this year because yeah, at least the first one. So we will see. The next book I have here is Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. It is about a couple named Yang and Pak Woo owning an experimental treatment center where they own a device called the Miracle Submarine, which is a pressurized oxygen chamber for therapeutic dives. However, the Miracle Submarine explodes, killing people and, of course, starting an investigation. which opens up many doors to all these mysterious things that happened that night. There's a note left there, and there's talk about child abuse. The premise sounded so interesting to me, I had to pick this book up. Of course, this is also an Asian American thriller, so another reason I wanted to give this book a try and yeah, learn more about this author's writing. Okay, so the next books I have here are all by the same author. You know how much I love Michael Crichton's books so far that I've read. Jurassic Park and The Lost World, which is I'm currently reading and loving it. So I wanted to give his other books a chance and see if I like them as well, and I'm thinking I probably will. So the next one I have here is Prey by Michael Crichton, of course. It is about an experiment that has gone wrong in the Nevada desert, and all these nanoparticles, also called the micro robots, has escaped the lab. These robots are self-sustained and self-produced. To make it worse, they're hard to kill and we are the prey. I mean, that just sounds so intriguing to me. Of course, this is a sci-fi. They also call it a techno thriller. I'm like really looking forward to reading this. This would probably be my next Michael Crichton book. Okay, the next one is Timeline, of course, again by Michael Crichton. So this book is about an old man disoriented and wandering around in Arizona desert, wearing a brown robe. He has no memory of who he is or where he's from. The only clue they found in his pocket is related to a medieval monastery. So a group of young scientists tries to find out about this man and discover a mystery of timeline. Of course, this book is a sci-fi thriller and I cannot wait to read it. I've read reviews that I've seen the movie. I don't even remember what it was about. It was such a long time ago, but I remember I read people say that this book is like way better than the movie, like why the movie was even made, because it does not do justice at all. So really looking forward to reading this one. The next book I have here is Disclosure, of course, by Michael Crichton. So, Tom Sanders works for a computer hardware manufacturing company. And it is about him trying to prove that he was sexually harassed by his female employer. Sounded really interesting to me. It is a psychological thriller. Looking forward to reading this. And the last book I have by Michael Crichton is Pirate Latitudes. This is an adventure story set in 1665 when Jamaica was a British colony and they're holding out against Spanish dominance. So the story centers around the island's governor and a pirate named Hunter who plan on raiding this treasure ship. Sounds really intriguing to me. I love books about pirates and, you know, that time. So I'm looking forward to reading it. And of course, it sounds different from Michael Crichton's other writing, which is usually sci-fi, which I absolutely love. But yes, I'm still looking forward to reading this one, something different. The next books I have are by Neil Gaiman. Now, I have never read a Neil Gaiman book before, and I know what you're thinking. Why not? How come? I don't know. I just haven't, okay? So my plan is to read at least one Neil Gaiman book this year. So I got 4. Other than they were like absolutely gorgeous covers. And yeah, so the first one I have here is Neverwhere. This is a contemporary fantasy. It's about a kind-hearted businessman named Richard who finds this girl on the sidewalk bleeding, and when he tries to help her, he kind of like falls through the crack to the parallel dimension, which is actually parallel London. So of course over there's like, you know, demons and monsters and angels and saints. It just sounds so amazing. I cannot wait to read this book. That's like, yeah, that just got my attention for sure. Okay, the next book I have, of course, it's been already made to a movie, which I watched like years and years ago and I absolutely loved it. So that's why I kind of picked this book up, because I wanted to read the book. Like I always say, books always tend to be better than the movie. It is Stardust. It's about a boy named Tristan who is in love with Victoria, and he would do anything for her, even bring her the star that has fallen on the other side of the wall where no one ever goes. Of course, there are other people who's also trying to get that star for their own reasons. Of course, they are all bad people. So it is a fantasy, you know, adventure, romance, and of course, I love all those, you know, genres. So cannot wait to read this book. Looking forward to it. The next book I have here is Anansi Boys, and it is about a boy. On the back, it literally says, Fat Charlie Nancy's normal life ended the moment his father dropped dead on a Florida karaoke stage. So Charlie didn't know he had a brother, and he didn't know that he was actually a god as well. So this book kind of sounded to me like Percy Jackson, where his brother actually shows up at his doorstep, Charlie's doorstep, and they go pretty much on a quest to find, you know, about his heritage and his abilities and all his powers and stuff. So yeah, like I said, it sounded like Percy Jackson to me, contemporary fantasy type of book. So I'm really looking forward to it, as Percy Jackson is one of my favorite, you know, book of all time, of course. And the very last book I have here is American Gods, of course. I believe there's a, is it on Amazon? There's a TV show. I think that's where I found out about this book, or I found out about the show, and then, you know, I found out that there's a book about it, of course. And it is about, it sounded like, it was kind of vague to me, but it sounded like it's about people bringing gods to America, and then later, of course, forgetting about them, which caused the gods to lose their powers over time, and the new gods came, which I think is referring to the technologies. So there's like this, you know, kind of like a war between the old gods and the new gods. That's all I know. So, but I just wanted to read the book. You know, I haven't watched the show yet, but I just wanted to read the book and see how good it is. Of course, it looks big, but it's the writing is fairly, or the font is fairly like decent. It's not those super tiny ones, so readable. So I'm like really looking forward to it. I'm kind of like, you know, contemplating if I want to read the Neverwhere first or this one, because this is also contemporary fantasy and it sounded super good to me. I don't think it's like any Greek mythologies in it. I don't know, I could be wrong, but anyway, both of those are kind of like on top of my list for reading, so I think I'm gonna try to get to one of them next for my August reads. Well, we will see, but looking forward to it. The next book I have here is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Of course, this is a classic. I read this when I was in high school, but I wanted to reread this again, so I got the illustrated version. Let me show you. It looks so beautiful. Just absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, I'm sure you already watched the movie or know about the movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. But aside from that, it is about a guy named Jay Gatsby, who is a self-made millionaire and falls in love with Daisy Buchanan. And, you know, of course, she's like this wealthy young woman. So it is a tragic, you know, love story. And I just wanted to reread this one and appreciate it more. As, you know, we get older, I feel that, you know, my view for books, that when I reread them, it has changed. So another reason. And like I said, it's illustrated. I thought it would be really fun. The next book I have here is Einstein's Dream by Alan Lightman. And this is a collage of stories dreamt by Albert Einstein. This is pretty much about physics, relativity, you know, time, stuff like that. I was just more interested because the stories in here are very short, so I was more interested in, like, it's kind of like a diary type of thing, so I was kind of interested in reading that. But look how cute is this book. It's just so tiny. I love it. So I just thought it would be like a quick short read. The next book I have here is The Cursed Carnival and Other Calamities by Rick Riordan Presents. That's what it says, because I believe in the back it says 9 stories edited by Rick Riordan and 1 story by Rick himself. So there are short stories and written by other authors. And it's pretty much, you know, fairy tale based kind of thing, like how we're used to reading Rick Riordan's writing. So similar stories. I'm really looking forward to reading this one since, you know, this is kind of like his picks and I love Rick Riordan. So we'll see how it is. I'm not, you know, these are all short stories by different authors. So just something I enjoy reading. So hence the reason me getting this book. Looking forward to reading this one. Hopefully, sometimes I'm thinking like maybe September, October. That's how I'm feeling the vibe, but I just got the book. You never know, never know. The very last book I have here is none other than Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morrigan Crow. This is the last book to the Neverwhere series that I've been reading. This is on my July TBR, so I will be picking this up soon before this month ends. So I was just excited to get this book, you know, added to my collection. But yeah, this is pretty much about the whole series, you know, Nevermore series. It's about a girl named Morrigan who is a cursed child because she was born on the Eventide day. And this guy named Jupiter North comes to town and saves her pretty much because she was supposed to die on her birthday, 11th birthday. And Jupiter North saves her and takes her to this wonderful place called Nevermore, where she gets to, you know, learn magic and such stuff. So far I've been loving it. This is the 3rd and the last book of this series. Looking forward to reading it, looking forward to finishing it. Yeah, other than that, super excited. So that is it for today, you guys. That's all the books I have. I don't even know how many books I hauled for today's video, but it seemed like a lot. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And of course, as always, leave me comments down below and subscribe to my channel. And please stop by again soon. And until then, take care.